Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and when we talk about an English garden, I can imagine what you probably have in your head. Nice cut hedgerows, garden gnomes, and the occasional hedgehog wandering about. All very tame stuff. However, what if I told you that the world's most poisonous garden was based in England? And no, I'm not talking about venomous badgers or cyanide water fountains. This is a garden which is purpose-made to house the world's most poisonous plants. Alnwick Castle in Northumberland, under the Dukes of Northumberland, as you might imagine, was actually the place where the first two Harry Potter films filmed scenes for Hogwarts Castle, which I didn't know until I made this video, which is pretty cool. And normally a duke that owns a large plot of land has a lot of free space to really do whatever the hell they want with it. So, as you might imagine, most people will probably make big grand hedge mazes or nice gardens or walks, just regular stuff like that. So the Duchess of Northumberland decided, instead of just making yet another herb garden, decided to spice things up a little bit and wanted to make the very unique decision in 2005 to build the world's most poisonous garden. The Duchess decided to do this after being inspired from her visit in Italy, where she went to the Medici poison gardens, and after being fascinated by the killer plants in there, decided to build her own and wanted to make it the biggest in the world, to house as many poisonous plants as you can in such a garden. I realised that I could do something really great if I had the right team. If you're building something, especially a visitor attraction, it needs to be something really unique. One of the things I hate in this day and age is the standardization of everything. I thought, let's try and do something really different. This is a way to interest children. Children don't care that aspirin comes from the bark of a tree. What's really interesting is to know how a plant kills you, and how the patient dies, and what you feel like before you die. So yeah, this video is basically going to be me telling you about the many fun ways you can die just by walking through this garden. Open to the public, of course. However, this isn't just a free-for-all, as the garden is actually protected by large black iron gates. With the very apt wording on the front, these plants can kill. And also the big skull on the front probably would have given that away if you hadn't read that in the first place. Visitors that come to the garden are given a guided tour, but are prohibited from touching, smelling, or tasting the plants. I mean, the smelling and touching I can understand because people might not realise, but I don't know why you'd go into a poisonous garden and think, you know what, I'm going to lick that plant over there, or I'm going to eat that leaf. No, if you're going to do that, you've only got yourself to blame. However, following these rules doesn't make you completely safe, however, as people have been known to go into the garden and faint just by inhaling some of the fumes from some of the surrounding plants. So you do still have to have your wits about you. So what's in this garden and what makes it so dangerous? This garden houses over 100 poisonous plants, with some notable examples such as giant hogweed, which is a phototoxic plant which, upon touch, can blister your skin, which just makes me scratch thinking about it. This isn't like being stung by a nettle, however, as the sap from the plant can burn your skin and make it more susceptible to sunlight, which, in turn, can have blistering and scarring for upwards of 7 years after being touched by the plant. So the next time you're in a field and you just want to take a piss beside that tree, maybe just double check to make sure there isn't any giant hogweed nearby, because yeah, that's not going to end well. Another plant in the garden is the infamous nightshade, which upon first look doesn't really seem that threatening. The stem of the plant does have little thorns and prickles on it, which should be a good indication of stay away. But if you decide to eat one of the berries on it, then oh boy, you're in for a world of trouble. Doing so, you'll effectively be eating a chemical called solanine, which is well known in large doses to kill you. It is basically poison. This plant can be eaten safely if it's fully grown and cooked properly, but with anything which can possibly kill you, you want to make damn sure that it's been cooked correctly. This colourful plant is known as aconitum, or is more commonly known as purple poison, monk's hood, or wolfsbane. All parts of the plant, including the roots, have a toxin inside called acetinane, which is effectively a nerve agent. Interestingly, back in ancient times, this poison was actually used to tip spears and arrows when used in hunting or fighting, which is where the name wolfsbane comes from, and yes, as you might have guessed, this will also kill you. Even this unassuming bush will kill you. This is a laurel bush, and it's actually very common in many parts of the country. However, its leaves do contain cyanide, which, yes, also kills you. Like I said, laurel hedgerows are commonly used to top fences and are very common in the country, and there's even been stories of people who have trimmed the bushes and when they've loaded their car ups to take it to the local tip, have become nauseous and even passed out at the wheel because of what these plants produce. Damn unsuspecting killers, and that I suppose goes to show why when I was younger and told not to eat the plants in the garden, it's things like this, which you probably don't realise are actually a lot more dangerous than you think. In the garden, there's a plant called hemlock, which, to be honest, you should probably get it by now. It just follows the trend of every other plant. It's very poisonous and will kill you. This plant is very poisonous, and even in small doses will kill you. If you manage to get the plant and crush it up, it lets off a very potent smell, which again should be a warning to you that something's not right and maybe you should leave it well enough alone. This again is a very common plant in the country and is another reason why you shouldn't go into the garden and just start eating everything. As you might imagine, the general theme here is not only the intrigue, but also the educational aspect behind why the garden exists in the first place. You'd like to think that having the garden with the most poisonous plants in the world, they would get plants from all corners of the globe and bring them together, which is partly true, but you'd be surprised to know that the vast majority of plants in this garden are actually all based in England. They're very local plants which are very unassuming, but are actually quite dangerous if you decide to give them a bit of a munch. Just to demonstrate how poisonous some of these plants are in the garden, the gardeners that tend to the plants in here all have to wear full body protective gear and face masks to make sure that they don't accidentally inhale the fumes once they've been cutting or trimming the plants. This does make me sad for any lone butterfly that decides to wander into the garden because they probably won't be coming out. The education aspect of the garden isn't just for poisonous plants, as they do grow other plants as well, such as plants that produce cannabis and cocaine, which again is for educational purposes, which is what my neighbour said before the police ram raided his apartment. And yes, there is a clear double standard here. Anywho, yes, this video was just about poisonous plants and how they can kill you, and I just thought it was a really interesting topic, and who knows, maybe one day I'll even go visit the garden myself. But for now, that should hopefully give you a good sighting of maybe not eating the plants in your local garden. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas as to what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. So the next time your parents ask you to eat your veggies, point them to this video, because who knows, maybe what they're feeding you will kill you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.